Okay, welcome to the Coffee with the Mayor for April 8th, 2016. Today we're joined by Dina Tucker, and she is from the University of Missouri Extension to discuss the Engaged Neighbor Program. So everybody, a warm welcome.
Thank you.
Dina serves as the Extension and Engagement Specialist and Field Specialist in Community Development for the Missouri University, or Mizzou, Extension for St. Charles County. She joined the University of Missouri Extension in July of 2022 in St. Charles County. Dina is known for her ability to connect with individuals from diverse backgrounds, fostering communication and relationships on both professional and personal levels. It's a very good skill to have. Her career experience spanned from health and traffic safety, education, insurance, law enforcement, and volunteer management. She facilitates sessions across several community development programs, including Becoming an Engaged Neighbor, Build Your Board, and Strategic Doing. She holds a BS in Administration of Justice and from the University of Missouri, and has a master's degree in public affairs from the University of Missouri Columbia, along with a graduate certificate in nonprofit management. Dedicated to Mizzou's extension mission, Dina works to engage quality of life by bringing the university's educational resources to the community. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions for you so that we can get to know you. Can you start by telling us about your role, the work you do in the communities, and University of Missouri's extension?
I sure can. So, extension engagement specialist means I'm handle the advocacy. So I travel to Jeff City, I meet with state representatives to tell them all the things that are available with extension. I started a program recently called Walk in the Park, and I meet elected officials from state reps to city council members to mayors. And I walk in all the my goal before I retire is to walk every single park that's within St. Charles County. And that's county parks, all the municipal parks. But the thing I do when I'm doing those park walks and many other things I go to is getting, what are your priorities up to elected officials? What do you want to see from your community? What needs do you need filled? And then as I listen to them, I can say, oh, extension has that resource. We do this at extension. Let me put you in touch with the program manager of that program, or maybe it's me. So I offer to set up programs. And then if I hear of a need that I think, oh, we don't have a program for that, but I know some other resource that does, I make that connection. If I think this is a resource we should have, then I go to all the different people that could possibly create a new resource for a need that needs to be met. So that's one of the things I do. I oversee the management of our office in St. Charles County. We are one of the few that own our building. We have a huge garden. We've trained master gardeners. So anything that goes wrong with that building, people come to me on property and grounds. And then the community development program, there's probably about 10 different programs that I'm personally involved with that I go out and tell people, hey, we do these things and, we teach this and we help people, nonprofit technical assistance. And nonprofits can come to us and say, I need to know how to run a board of directors. Okay, we have a class for that. I teach that class. So that's, mainly what I do is get out and say, this is all we do. And then if I'm the one to implement, execute it, I do, or I put people in touch with whoever does.
Okay, you answered all my questions. So really, what engaged this program, the Engaged Neighbor Program? What sparked it?
All right. Well, David Burton is a community development specialist for Extension in Greene County, Springfield. And he was out walking, this in 2019. He's out walking his dogs and he realizes, I don't know my neighbors. And some of the community development work he was doing lended itself to I'm supposed to be more social. So it just planted a seed for him to start doing things to get to know his neighbors. And then he started reading about neighboring. And the next thing you know, we have this full-blown neighboring program. COVID hits and people get isolated. And so 21 comes along and You know, people can go back out and go to work, but nobody does. Everybody's just staying hidden in their homes or don't want to talk to anybody, don't want to breathe on anybody. And so the extension and David developed this Becoming an Engaged Neighbor program and some additional neighboring programs to help people get back out. And there were several reasons for that. It sparks economy growth, mental health, physical health. If you know your neighbors, there's just so many good things that can come from it. And when COVID was going on, I mean, people got very isolated, very lonely. People were dying. People were committing suicide. And so the extension said, we want to solve this problem. We want to get people back out. So we developed neighboring programs to encourage people to be neighborly and to understand why it's so important.
Okay. That kind of reminds me of, I was watching something on the Discovery Channel. They talk about something called the Blue Zone. And there are these zones all across the world where they have a lot of centenarians, people who have lived beyond the age of 100. And a lot of that is not just their diet, but the social things that they do, like they walk and go and visit with neighbors. And they do a lot of their own gardening. But the most important part is to engage with your neighbors, and it's something that they do on a daily basis. It gets them outside, gets them walking, and psychologically it helps as far as their growth and getting older, and it allows them to live longer because happier people live longer.
Exactly.
Okay. What are some examples of how people can be more engaged? What should they do if they want to be a more engaged neighbor?
Well, when I started, I heard David talk about this program and I got really excited and I went to him and said, hey, I want to be involved in that. So he sent me a PowerPoint, Becoming an Engaged Neighbor. And so I tailored it to St. Charles County, St. Louis area. And I started getting groups together and presenting this hour-long program, which I would love to do over here too. But anyway, then one day I said, I need to practice what I preach. I need to experiment a little bit. I live on a street that's a court, got 16 houses on my street. So I wrote a letter. Hi, I'm Dina. This is what I do for my work. I've lived in this subdivision 20 years, raised my kid here, blah, blah, blah. Then I put like a packet of seeds in it. I put some flyers for some of our extension programs. I put a neighboring chart that's over there that has a place for you to list the names of all your neighbors. And I took it door to door. And I knew most of them, but there was a few I didn't know and some I didn't know much about. So I just went to knocking on the doors and said, hi, I'm your neighbor. I am working on a neighboring program, so I want to give you some information. And I want to ask you if you want to give me an emergency contact phone number so that if I notice anything wrong over here, I can, if no one can reach you at home, I know who to reach. And I'm going to say in my street, everybody said, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you. And I gave them my card too, my card with my home address on it, my cell phone number on it. And so then I decided I'm going to have a block party. But we had them years before, but the two men that did it, they had died. So no one else took it on. So that year that I passed out all this stuff, I said, I'm going to have a block party. And all but two people came, and those two people didn't really get along with each other. So I'm working on that, working through it. But they both came the next year. But anyway, there was one couple that never come out. I mean, they get in their car, they leave, they come back in the garage. They're never in their yard. They never do anything. They showed up. I was so shocked. And they stayed the longest. And one of the things they said at the end was, we're so happy to be here. Today's our 71st wedding anniversary. Yeah. So I really put into practice, if I'm telling people this is important, then I need to do it myself. So now a couple of neighbors and I throw a block party every year. And it's fun. And people, if I don't post something about it soon enough, or hand a flyer out in the neighborhood, they call, when's that block party? So.
Right. 71 years. That's a long time to be under contract.
Yeah.
I know on my street, we have Halloween gatherings where we've got one of those inflatable movie screens. It's about 7 feet tall, 7.5 feet tall. big screen, we blow it up with air, and we shoot a movie, and we play Charlie Brown Halloween.
Oh, fun.
And everybody will bring their chairs, and we have one of those outdoor fire pits, and we'll roast marshmallows, and the kids will sit around and they'll show your trick or treat suits and whatnot. And we still give candies to the other kids that go out, and it was a good way for me to connect with the neighbors, because we had a neighbor that used to speed up and down the street, when my kids were trying to go to school, and he would come awful close to them. I didn't know his name. And fortunately, he showed up and we got to talking about things. And we got to know one another, and I explained to him my concerns about him speeding up and down the street. And it worked. It worked because he slowed down, and I didn't have to throw rocks at him, and everything, worked itself out. But it give you a chance to engage your neighbors. And I think that's good.
Before you ask me any other questions, can I tell you a couple other neighboring things that I see in my neighborhood?
Please, go ahead.
And I try to make some of them fun things. But so my brother is 73 and he lives with me, and never known for neighboring qualities in his younger days. But we have some neighbors that are in their 90s, widowed women. And my brother every single day goes and gets their mail and takes it to them, because one of them just can't get out of the house anymore on her own. So he takes the mail. On trash days, he goes in but gets both their trash cans, puts them out in the street, takes them back in. Every weekend, that's the only time I cook. I'll cook on weekends, and my brother takes them off, those two ladies, food and anything else he sees, And recently, one of the ladies, my door, somebody was knocking on my door. I opened it up. There's 3 police officers there. And this is because of all the neighboring things we've done over the years. But these police officers said, her life alert went off a couple hours ago. Nobody can get a hold of her. Her son thinks she probably just dropped it, but we can't get a hold of her. And her son, he wants us to go in, but she'll be scared if it's law enforcement. And so he wants you to go in. And so, to me, when somebody, when this son who lives 20 miles away tells law enforcement, go get Dina, the neighbor, she'll go in and she'll wake my mom up so she's not as scared. Then I ushered all these law enforcement and paramedics into her bedroom. But, to me, that's what, that's the health benefits, mental health and physical health. When you build relationships with your neighbors, it pays off. Another thing that happened with our last bad snow, we have a neighbor in his mid-60s, still healthy. That guy got his snowblower out and did every driveway on our street. He's retired and he did every single driveway. To me, that is just amazing. Good for his health, certainly good for mine, because I don't want to shovel. And then another thing that I do, we have a big plant sale at our office every year. I'm not a gardener. I don't even want to do that physical work, but I do love flowers. So I buy a ton of plants at my plant sale, and I know who gardens around me. So I have a plan. So I buy these things. I give some to my brother, who'll plant them for me. But then I give all the rest of them away to my gardening neighbors. And then when I'm out walking my dog, I can enjoy all that beautiful flowers, but I didn't do any of the work. And they think I am the nicest person in the world because I gave them flowers. So there's just so many simple things that you can do.
You are truly a strategic thinker. Can you tell me a little bit about your newsletter that you have?
Yes, David Burton out of Springfield does write this newsletter every month. And all you gotta do is sign up for it, and it comes to you in email. And he talks about neighboring examples. He also has a monthly, a monthly phone call thing where you can log in and listen to a nationally known neighboring expert. And so in his newsletter, he writes about the people that he's interviewed, and it's a really very informative newsletter. And if I haven't already sent the link, I think I sent it to you guys, or to, what is her name? I'm sorry. The lady that's
Fleming?
Yeah.
Yes.
I sent it to Kiana so that if anybody wants that link, you can get it from her.
Okay.
But it's a very informative newsletter, and it gives you ideas on things you can do in your community.
Okay. if someone's doing some outstanding work here in Olivet, how can someone nominate a person to be recognized as an engaged or good neighbor?
I have some flyers. I have other flyers over there. But this particular flyer talks about several of our programs, including the newsletter and Missouri Good Neighbor Week. So hopefully you'll take one of those. But Missouri Good Neighbor Week is a website. And you literally can go log into that website, and then there's a few different places you can nominate a neighbor for a good neighboring deed. You can nominate gosh, there's just all different kinds of things. But you can just literally write, I did this for somebody, I'm nominating myself, or my neighbor did this for me, I'm nominating them. And then we look through all those after a year and we choose, this past year, we had 20 top neighbors of the Missouri. And they each won, they had got a certificate, of course, but they each won $100 also. And then the city that, so remember this, the city that posts the most recommendations for good neighbors will win the Good Neighbor City of the Year, and we recognize them in some kind of event. So it's really about going to that website. And the Good Neighbor Week, when we announce all this, is September 28th through October 4th. But we've opened up our website to where you can go in and nominate neighbors all year long and just write about good neighbor deeds.
Okay. If a subdivision or community wants to learn more about becoming engaged neighbors, is that where they need to go? To get that information?
No, that is me.
Okay,
And that orange flyer over there, that has my name and number on it, and I probably have some business cards with me somewhere. But if you call me, and I want you to, I'm asking you to, if any of you call me and say, I would like your 1 hour free presentation on becoming an engaged neighbor, I will go anywhere. I can come to like a library, a city hall, a church, it doesn't matter, community center. If you call me and say, on this date and this time, will you present this program? I'll create the flyer for it. I will share it. I'll help you publish it. And I'll just talk about, there's 3 main things to my program, and I do try to make it fun. The value of knowing your neighbor, economically, from a health standpoint, physical and mental health. And then I give a lot of ideas and examples on how to get to know your neighbors. And I show some neighboring examples. And then towards the end of it, we talk about, here's some neighboring challenges that come up, like you just described one, your speeder, you know, what you did to overcome that. So we have a component about that in the program. Like, here's some problems that can come up, but instead of just being angry or calling the police or whatever, here's some ways you can work around that. And it's just a fun program. And wherever I'm going, I try to grab some pictures from that community and find some information about the community to make it feel local.
okay. Go ahead, we're gonna open this up for questions, if you don't mind, go ahead.
I didn't know if I was allowed to ask a question, but I am a Girl Scout troop leader. And I have first graders. Next year, we're gonna allow them to do door-to-door cookie sale. Already in our curriculum was a meeting prior to cookie season about how the first time you meet your neighbor should not be when you're asking them for something. Do you have a version of this talk that would be appropriate?
I've done it for kids. Yeah.
They could probably have 20 minutes, not an hour, you know, just attention wise. But it, you know, I couldn't help but think about this like important lesson we're trying to teach. These are our old bottom first, second, and third grade girls.
Yeah, I would absolutely do it for kids. I've done it for 4-H groups before. So what I would do is just make a kid curriculum, and then I would just show it to you first.
Yeah.
Make sure you were comfortable with that and the timing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would come out and do that.
Cute. Okay. I might
Yeah.
email you about that then. I gotta
Okay.
check with the other troop leaders.
Sure.
We have any other questions? Go ahead.
What are the cities that are good neighbor cities in Missouri?
Let's see.
And what was it that created that?
Well, I know it was a southeast city a year or 2 ago. David Burton could answer all these questions, like, because he's the one who keeps that spreadsheet. But it was either Poplar Bluff or Sykeston, one of those southeast cities, the most recent one. And it really was about that they had the most neighboring, you know, more people put in the website from that town, here's a good neighbor deeds from this town. That's how you win, is the town that puts in the most deep, good neighbor examples.
And was that related to publicity, or was that related to something that the city did? Or how does that?
Well, we promote it on all our social media, and we ask cities, because there's an extension office in every single county. So each of us that work for the extension, we go to our community leaders and say, hey, we want the towns in your county to participate in Missouri Good Neighbor Week. And here's how you do it. In this brochure, we give this out. That's got all the different neighboring programs in it. And we recommend go on our website and type in some good neighbor deeds that you've witnessed in your community. So we collectively are telling our communities to do this. Now, some cities get real involved and push it, and other cities like, yeah, okay, thanks, and don't do anything. But it's really, the more individuals that will go in that website, I mean, I'll bet you every single one of you in this room can think of either something you did for a neighbor that would qualify to put in there, or that you saw some other neighbor do, or that, have something that's been done for you. We can all come up with examples. It's just making the time to go to that website and enter it.
Do we have any other questions in the room? Go ahead.
So you were based out of St. Charles. Is there a new equivalent for St. Louis County? Because you're also describing how you're running all these programs. So how does that differ? Because you're based out of St. Charles County.
So extension is in 114 counties, plus the city of St. Louis. I did have a colleague in St. Louis County that does exactly what I do, but she has resigned. So there will be another one. But in the meantime, because of some of the programs, I'm the only one that teaches them, so I go everywhere. And then I have a Jefferson County colleague. Her and I partner on a lot of different things. So to your point, if you called me and said, I want this program, who can I get? It might be me, it might be one of the other community development specialists, and it's a lot of things we do together. We have a program, I think I mentioned, nonprofit technical assistance. There's 10 of us that are on that team, and we cover the whole state. If somebody from this area, the urban east region, contacts that group, they come to me. We have a program called Strategic Doing, where we help communities, like if I'm going to refer to a rural community, but a town that maybe the closest grocery store is 30 miles away, they want to get a Dollar General. They don't know what to do. So we have this program where the community comes together, community leaders come together and say, how do we do it? And then we help them figure out what the assets are in the room, who can do what. And then we just guide them on, here's the next things you need to do to get the Dollar General. And then we meet every 30 days to make sure that they're moving along with the progress. We don't do the work for them, but we help them figure out what they need to do next. And we can do that for suburban communities too. Somebody just has to come to us and say, well, this is our need. Like, we need a new community center. We need a new whatever. And then we help hopefully facilitate that. But anyway, yes, we have one of me in every single county.
And so it wouldn't necessarily matter if all of us chose to want to do a presentation or something like that.
For this particular Becoming an Engaged Neighbor, it's going to be me, because there's only 2 of us in the extension that present it. And as much as I try to get my colleagues, hey, why don't you present this too? Oh no, Dina, you go ahead.
I imagine your help would be good for someone who's experiencing a food desert, because there are a lot of communities that have food deserts, and I'm sure they would have difficulty knowing where to start. And I can lean on you for help, I imagine.
Yes, we do we have a very cool program called Missouri Eats, Mo Eats. And when people come to us and say, we need help figuring out how to get more food, then we set up a Mo Eats program.
Okay,
And that is a different person than me, but I help with it.
I understand. Do we have any other questions? Okay,
I have one more.
go ahead.
Do you have any examples of where you've done this neighboring program with residential and adjacent commercial?
Well, I mean, I do it, I've done it for the city of St. Charles, and there were residents and business owners there. I have one set up for the city of Cottleville, the city of Weldon Springs. I've done it at churches, at homeowners associations. So, I cannot say that, like, business communities don't necessarily call me and say, can you do this to all our business owners? But I would.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well,
And I hope you'll grab flyers over there. Do you have a moment for me to tell them about?
sure,
what
sure,
I
go
do
ahead.
here? I brought you some other things for them. We have this really cool neighborhood program called Snowy Neighborhood Art. In the month of May, you decorate your yard or your business storefront or whatever. And then you send us pictures and all the information how to do that's on here. You send us pictures, we put it on a map, and then people can go vote for it. And it's all about neighboring. If you're out doing some crazy decoration in your front yard, your neighbors are, Girl Scouts could do this. Your neighbors are gonna come over and go, what the heck are you doing? So, and it's about getting neighbors out there, and we do prizes for that all over the state. This is a neighbor chart. If you would take one of these and just take some time and go knocking on your neighbor's doors and ask for emergency contact information and say, if something goes wrong, I'd really like to be a person that I have your information. The University of Missouri has a program called First Impact. It's for parents of teen drivers. They learned about the graduated driver license law. And this is coming up at Pattonville. We have that all over the state too. I have a flyer about the nonprofit technical assistance. And I do have something for employers called Reimagining Your Workforce. And this one is going to be in St. Louis in May. And it's for employers who would consider second chance hiring. We're trying to train employers that if you will consider criminal justice, rehabilitating drug and alcohol, that we could help get those people back into an engaging, working life where they can contribute to the community and not get back in jail or back on drugs. So we'd love to have employers come to that. And then the last flyer I have there is called Apex. If a business would like to learn how to get a government contract, it's free. We have a department that will coach you on, here's a contract that would be good for you. And here's how you do it. Here's how you do the paperwork. Here's how you renew it to keep going. Then that is all free. And those people are located in St. Louis. So this is the All About Missouri Good Neighbor Week and all our other programs. So I hope that you'll take some of those. That's all I have.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you very much for joining us for Coffee with the Mayor. The Coffee with the Mayor is now officially over.